Hey everyone, welcome back to our Java tutorial series. Today we are exploring flow control statements in Java. These statements determine how the program executes based on condition and loops. So let's dive in. First of all, we are going to start with the conditional statements in which we are going to see if statement, if else, and if else if ladder. Okay, so let's start coding. So I've already created a class, okay, for all the conditional statements. So I have created a conditional underscore Java class. Now I've created the main function. Inside the main function, I'll show you that how you're going to execute the if statement in Java, okay, and how it is used. So first of all, uh, let's take a variable of age. Okay, you a user input. So I'm not taking a user input to make it program more simpler for you guys. Okay, you guys can take a user input also. Okay, in the previous video I've shown you different ways to take input in Java, so you can use that way. Okay, or you can use a scanner class also. Okay, so here if the age is 18 or above, so the message will be printed. Okay, you are eligible to vote. Let's execute the program. Okay, so you are eligible to vote. Now how this if works, it basically checks for a condition. Okay, so inside the if we put a condition over here. Okay, and then this condition is evaluated, and basically the if will get executed only when this condition will give a return a boolean value true. So when this condition will give true, so then uh, the particular if block. Okay, so whatever we are writing inside the if block, just now we have here we have written we are printing something, you are eligible to vote, so that message will be printed, so that block of code will get executed. Okay, so this is how single if works. Now I'll do what, I'll take an example of if else. So for that I'll take a num and I'll initialize some value to it. Suppose I'm initializing 6. Okay, now I'll do what? I'll check that this is even or odd. Okay. So for that, I'll again take one if. Then for checking even, uh, we have to check that if that number is uh, divisible with 2 and if the remainder is 0, so then it is a even number. So how we are going to check that? So for that, we want to check for the remainder. So that's why we are using the modulus operator. Okay. It is not the normal division operator. I have explained you in the time of operators video that it is a modulus operator, so it will return you the remainder, and if the remainder will be equals to 0, so then what we are going to do, then we are going to simply print that even number, or in the else what we are going to do, in the else we'll simply print, okay, odd number. So obviously if it will be not even, so it is going to be odd only. Okay, now let's do what, let's run this and let's see. Okay, even number. Now how else is working? See, first of all, we talked about the if, that if it is true, okay, if this condition is true, then the particular block of code of if will get executed. Same condition is applied here. If this is true, so it was a 6, means it was a even number. So divided with 2, it returns the remainder was 0, okay, because it is directly divisible. Okay, 2 is directly divisible with 6, so that's why we got 0. So remainder is 0, so that's why this condition got true, and this particular block of code get executed. Now when we use else with if, what happens if this is not true? Okay, if the condition is false, so then the else will get executed. Okay, so it depends on the condition given on the if, that if the if is true, then the if block of code will get executed, or if the condition present in if is false, then the else one will get executed. Okay, so here let me do what, let me put 7. Okay, now 7 is an odd number, we all know that, so this condition is obviously going to give us return false. Okay, so when it is going to return false, so then the else will be executed and it will print odd number, as you can see here. Okay, so yeah, that is if else. Now we'll see the next part, that is if else if ladder. Okay, so for that I'll do what, I'll take one more variable. Okay, I'll name it as, I'll give 85 in it. Okay, and okay, if marks is greater than equal to 90, then do what, print grade A. Okay, then we'll use else if, and inside this we'll give if marks is greater than equal to 80, then we will print grade B. Or what we can do, let's make it grade A and let's make it A plus. Okay, now so on you can give, okay, multiple conditions. Okay, so let's try one more else if. Okay, marks greater than equal to, now last time was 80, this time 70, so print, so this time we'll print grade B. Now so on you can go ahead with C, D, E, F. Okay, so you can go ahead, so I'm not going that much. Now I'll directly give the else condition. Okay, in the else I'll print system dot out println, and I'll directly write grade D failed. Okay, like this. Now the marks what I have given is 85, so let's execute it. Okay, so grade A, because it is above 80 and below 90, so that's why we are getting grade A. If the marks was suppose 90, so it will give you A plus. So the if else if ladder checks multiple condition in sequence. So the first condition that is true executes its block. Okay, it means that, see, what if we have a situation of we have to check for multiple condition. In if else it lacks with, it is we are not able to check with multiple condition. In if we can only check one condition. Okay, and if that is false, then the else part will get executed. But what if we have multiple conditions? So then for that problem we have a solution that we can use else if. In this you can see we have given multiple conditions, that if marks is greater than or equal to 90, then print this. If it is greater than 80, so print this. If it is greater than 70, then print this. And if it, and in the else condition you can give your default case. Okay, so yeah, you can use the else also here. Okay, so this is how the else if ladder works. Okay, now the next thing is the next thing will be for day. Okay, will be for the switch statement, switch cases. So days are, in a week there are 7 days, so if there is one it is Sunday, if there is two then it is Monday. Okay, so I'll take two. Now let's take Let's declare the switch. Now this switch takes only one value. Okay, that is the day we have declared, and then it has multiple cases in it. So just like the else if, it does not checks with multiple conditions, it checks with multiple cases. Okay, so suppose if there is case one, for when I'll give you the example, it will be more clear. Suppose if there is case one, and in this case one is system.println. Okay, I'll write for case one there is Sunday. Okay, then there is case two. And at last, suppose I'll go with case 3 only. There is no limitation on cases. You can give as many as cases. But if you're talking about a day, okay, so in a week there are only 7 days. So we can go as far with 7 only. But there are no limitation on miss. I have taken one situation here for weeks. So there are no limitation on cases. You can take as many as cases, okay, as you want. So now there is the last, that is the default case, okay. At last there is a default case that you can take. So in this default case, most probably we do uh, when all the cases are not correct, okay, when all the cases are not matching with this day, okay, so then this default will automatically get printed. So in this default, we print a default message only, okay, when every case will get invalid, so then we'll write invalid day or whatever the message you want to give, just like this, okay. So in the default case, we'll write like this. Now we have used the new thing here, break. I will explain you, but before that, let's see what's the output, okay? So it is Monday. Why? Because in day we have taken two. If we'll take one, so it will give you Sunday, okay, as you can see here. If you'll take three, it will give you Tuesday. If I have created more case like case four, case five for Wednesday, Thursday, so it will give you that also. And there are multiple use cases of that. So in our further uh, videos, when we'll solve some problems, then we'll see, okay, use of the switch case. Now let's do what? Let's give something which is not here. Suppose 5, okay. Let's see the output. Then the default case will automatically get, okay, executed. That is invalid day. So that is the use of the default case. Now we have used break here, okay. Now what is this break and why we have used after each case, okay? After we are doing our work, at last in each case we are giving this break. We are using this break to get out of the particular case. If we will not give this break, then what will happen, that all of the cases will be executed simultaneously. Means if in day there is one, so Sunday will get print, but if we have not given the break, then Monday will also get print. If in case 2 also there is no break, then Tuesday will also get print, and then invalid day will also get printed, okay. So that is the thing. So if I'll show you by commenting these lines, okay, so now let me give you one, okay. Okay, now you will see Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and invalid day. All the cases will be get printed. So to come out of that, we need to have here break. Okay. Now we'll see about the break in more detail. Okay. When you'll see after loops. Okay. Because in loops also there is some use of break. Okay. So for now, this is the use of break, and this was all the conditional statements. Now we'll move to the looping statements. Okay. So let's see the looping statements. So basically there are three types of loops supported in Java: for loop, while loop, and do while loop. Okay. So let's just start with the for loop. So I've created already a class loop underscore Java. Let me create the main function, public static void main. Okay. And now I'll take a simple program, okay, for printing values. Suppose for loop for int I equals 1, I less than equals 5. This is somehow similar to the C++ language, okay? So if anyone knows that language, so it will be easy for them. And if it is your first programming language, which is Java, so this is the syntax of it, okay? And in this, I'll explain you. Let me just write it first. Okay, iteration plus I. Now your loop is completed. Let me just run the file. Okay, so now you can see iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, iteration 4, iteration 5. Okay, simultaneously all the iteration have been done. Now, what is a loop? So for performing repetitive tasks, we use a loop. Okay, suppose when you're playing music on any music player or in your default phone music player, so then also if you like some music, okay, so you just activate the loop mode. Okay, so then what happens once that song is finished, again it will start that song only. So that is looping. Okay, so same thing is followed here also. Suppose if you have some repetitive task that you have to perform, so then you can use loops. Here we have to print numbers from 1 to 5. Okay, basically iteration. So basically we are printing number only 5 times. Okay, so for that we can use for loop. So that is there. You can use while loop also, do while loops. There are many forms of loops, but this is how. And how the loop for loop is used. Let's talk about the syntax. See, first of all, you have to write for here. Okay, so the for is the keyword. Then you can declare a variable int I. That is allowed in Java, that you can declare the variable here only. The loop, it is just like I, you can see the I, it is also known as a loop variable. Okay, and if you don't want to declare this I here, then you can declare it, okay, here also. Okay, and you can initialize it to 0 or whatever the value you want to initialize. So you can declare there also, and then you can directly use I. But more conveniently, it will be more convenient for you when you'll use a loop variable. Just declare it there only. Okay, because it is allowed there. Now first of all, you have to give the loop variable and you have to initialize the value from where you want to start your loop. Okay, so suppose I want the iteration to be started from 1, so that's why I given it 1 here. Okay, then for making it more simple, I can start it from 0 also. Okay, suppose I'll write it 0 here, and I want it 5 times only, so then I have to remove this equal sign. So then it will do what? It will go till 4 only. So basically if you'll count, so they are 5, but it is going till 4 only. So making it more clear, I have just started from 1 and I made this equals to. Okay, now the first syntax is that where it start from, then semicolon terminates it. Then the second one is the condition. Okay, the condition where it will be stopped. Okay, if will not give the condition, then what will happen? It will go on an infinite loop. So we don't want that. Okay, and that is not a good programming also. So we have to stop a loop at somewhere. Okay, there are some places where we always choose to there are some places where we have to go on an infinite loop, but here we just wanted to print 5 numbers. So there should be a condition that if it is greater than, or if it is greater than 5, if the I is greater than 5, then it should not be executed. Okay, so that is the condition here. Then we are incrementing I every time. After each iteration, I will be incremented. Why we have to increment I? Because suppose if I is at initial 1, and condition is that if I is less than equal to 5, means if I will be greater than 5, then it is going to terminate. So I have to increment each time, so that the I value from 1 it should go 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and when it will reach 6, then the program will terminate. Okay, so that we have to do. Okay, so this is the for loop. Okay, now let's see the next loop, that is the while loop. Okay, now, in the while loop, what happens? It will execute while the condition is true. Okay. So suppose uh, I we have taken I less than equal to 5, and now here we have to declare I first. So we will declare I equals to 0 or I equals to 1 here. Okay, and if I is less than equal to 5, then do what? Then system dot out dot println, and let's say count plus I. It's not necessary that every time you will take I only. Okay, you can take X, Y, Z, A, B, C, whatever variable you want, you can take it. Just for preference, I just like to give loop variable as I, so I choose I only. You can you can give whatever you want. Now, let's first execute this and let's see the output, and then we'll talk about. Yeah, so as you can see, count 1, count 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's getting printed. It is correct. Now, let's talk about the syntax of while loop. Okay, now while loop has three things which have to be taken in consideration. Okay, first, the loop variable. Okay, first the initialization, that is called as initialization. So first of all, you have to initialize your loop variable with any value. Okay, so first of all, that you have to take in consideration. Second, you have to use the while keyword, obviously. Then you have to, inside the parenthesis, you have to give the condition. Okay, whatever the condition, till what, after that it will be terminated. Okay, so if this condition is true, then your block of code will get executed. When it is false, then it will not get executed. Okay, so when it is starting, we have initialized it to 1, and it is less than equal to 5, means the value of I is 5, so till then it will get executed. When the value of I will be greater than 5, then it will be not executed. Okay, and then we are printing the I. Okay, then the third step is that incrementation. Okay, every time, as you can see in the for loop also, we were doing the incrementation, but for loop has a proper synchronized syntax. Okay, but in while loop it is not that much synchronized. So all of these three things, we are doing all the three things which we are doing in the for loop. As you can see, initialization also, condition is also there, and incrementation also is there, but it is not in a single line. It is, first we have to do initialization, then the condition is there, then your block of code is there, and then at last in the end there is the incrementation part, because I have to be incremented. That's then only it will get false, this I. When I will be greater than 5, means when it will become 6, then the condition will be false, so then we'll get out of the loop. So that will we have to take it in consideration. So these three steps are there when we are using while loop, so when we have to take it consideration. Okay, now then there is one more loop that is called as the do while loop. Okay, now there is a certain difference between while and do while loop. So let me first write the program, then we'll discuss the difference. Okay, so do, and in the do I'll do what? I'll just basically copy this. Okay, I'll paste it over here. Then I'll write the while. Okay, I less than equal to 5 semicolon. Okay, so this is how we are going to give the do while loop. Now again, I'll do what? I'll initialize the I equals to 1 again, because at last the I will be 6. Okay, so let me take one more different variable. Yeah, let's execute this, and then we'll talk about. So again, you can see here, then again we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so for better output, what we can do, we can take a simple system dot out dot println. Okay, then there will be a space between those two loops. Okay, now you can see this is the do while loop, it is also doing its work. Now the difference is, as you can see, from the previous while loop which we have seen here, the executable code which is going to be executed, that we have written inside the do. Okay, and the condition is separate here. Okay, condition is after do. Okay, and then there is a condition. So the slight difference is that even if the condition is false also, then also the loop will executes once. Okay, it means in while we are checking the condition first and then performing the task. So if the condition will be false at the first time, so it is not going to be executed. Okay, so it will not be executed means once also. But in do while, if the condition is false also, but then also you can see we are checking the condition at last, so it will be executed at once. Okay, so suppose if I'll give it here 6. Okay, so now let's just check this, check the output. Okay, so you can see 6 is getting printed. Okay, 6 is getting printed. Why? Because first the printing purpose will be do, then a plus plus will happen, and then this condition will is getting checked. So that's why after 6 it is not getting executed, but once it is happening. But the same thing if I'll do it, but the same thing if I'll do it here, so now this will not get run. Okay, so iteration only the for loop is getting executed, and do while is once getting executed. This is not going to execute it. So that is the difference between the do while and the while. Now one more thing, here when I declared again the I, so we got an error, but here we have two int I and int I have again taken it, then we are not getting an error because this int I is local to the for, okay? So this I is not a global variable. So that's why this I is different and this I is different. So this I scope is still this for loop only. After this for loop is getting finished, then there is nothing called as int I. But so that's why we are able to take one more int I. Okay, and this int I is global. So this I can be accessible by this while also and by this while also. So because of that, there was an error when I was creating I. Okay, now at last we'll see the jump statement. Okay, so basically there are three jump statements. One is break statement, one is the continue, and one is the return statement that is used on the methods. Okay, so we'll see that also. So I have already created the class. So let's just start with the break statement that we have already seen the example. Okay, so now let's check that with the for loop. Okay, suppose there is one for loop, okay, in which there is int I 1, I less than equal to 5, I plus plus. Okay, basically will not print now. Now we have a condition that this loop will, if I'll print I, so this will be printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want that if the I is equals to 3, then get out of the loop. Okay, so I have a condition here. So what I'll do, I'll just simply write if I equals to 3, then break, and after that we'll print number plus I. Okay, let's run the code. So as you can see, 1, 2, and when the value of I was 3, so we just terminated the program. So what happens when I is 3, the loop terminates. Okay, so this break is used when we have to terminate from when we have to go out of the that particular program, then this break is used. So it is particularly used with the conditional statement if only. Okay, and you can use it like this inside for, like this you can use it. Okay, so you can just iterate, start a loop, and then you can check for a condition. If that is met, so it will come out of the loop. Okay, now then there is one more is there, that is called as continue. Okay, let's see first the use of continue, how it's work. Wait, let me properly arrange it. Okay, so now it will be more enhanced. Yeah, so 1 2 that is separate for this loop. Now for the continue, as you can see, 1 2 3 is not there, 4 5. So this continue statement is used to skip. Okay, is used to skip the current iteration. So what happened here, first 1, so condition was not met, so 1 got printed, then it becomes 2, then 2 condition not met, so 2 get printed. When it was 3, condition gets true, so continue does it works, continue does what, it just skip that particular current iteration. So this iteration, when the condition get true, so that particular iteration when it was 3, it get skipped. So then rest of the code will not be executed, just skip that code. So now then after that it becomes 4, then 4 gets executed and 5 get executed. Okay, so 1 2 3 skipped, 4 and 5. So this is the continuous statements. Now at last there is the return statement. So for showing you the return statement, what we can do, we can basically create a function, and or we can directly return. Let's create a function only. So let's create public void. Okay, we have to come out of the main function. So let's create public static void. Okay, add. Let's take two value, int a, int b, and we'll just simply return. So whatever you have to return, okay, so that you can do using the return statement. Okay, but basically on void you cannot return, so you have to make it integer, because as you know, void, when you're using a void return type, so void means empty, so void cannot return. So if you have to return something from a method, so then you have to use a return type, something like int, float, double, which has the return type, so then it will be returned. Okay, so now you have to just call the method. So you can directly call the method also. Suppose uh, add 3 4. Let's see if it is giving the output or not, or else we have to, okay, it is not giving, so we can store it in a variable. So then it will give you 7. Okay, so this is it. We have seen the conditional statements, in which we have seen if else, if ladder, then the switch statement. Then we have seen the loops. Okay, in the loops we have seen for loop, while loop, and do while loop. Then we have seen the statements, break, continue, and return. Okay, so I hope you find this video helpful. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you in the next video.